Well, if you have Stouffer's or lean cuisine meals in your freezer, listen up. Thousands of boxes of Stouffer's and lean cuisine frozen meals are being pulled out of grocery stores.
That frozen dinner you grabbed last week? It might contain the same preservative used in airplane de-icer. While you've been trusting these household brands, 7 of them are hiding ingredients that would shock you. But here's what's really disturbing about what's actually inside your freezer right now. Look, I get it. You're standing in the frozen food aisle, staring at those cheerful lean cuisine boxes, promising a light and healthy dinner. The models on the packaging look fantastic, right? Well, here's what they don't tell you in those commercials. That innocent-looking chicken Alfredo? It's packing over 700 milligrams of sodium. That's like licking a salt block. And their garden vegetable pasta? More like garden variety disappointment with a side of preservatives. But here's the sneaky part, and this really gets my goat. They slap low-fat labels all over everything, then pump these meals full of sugar and artificial flavors to make up for the missing taste. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. My neighbor Janet swore by these things for months. "They're helping me lose weight," she'd say. Meanwhile, her blood pressure was climbing faster than a cat up a curtain. Turns out, eating that much sodium daily was like giving her arteries a daily punishment. The real kicker? These meals are loaded with refined carbs that'll leave you hungrier than a bear in winter 2 hours later. You know what I'm talking about? That gnawing feeling that sends you straight to the cookie jar. And don't even get me started on the fiber content. Or should I say, the complete lack of it. Your digestive system will be about as happy as a long-tailed cat in a room full of rocking chairs. The convenience factor makes these seem like a godsend. But trust me, they're wolves in sheep's clothing. Speaking of wolves in sheep's clothing, wait until you hear about Marie Callender's supposedly home-style disasters. Marie Callender's wants you to believe their frozen dinners taste just like Grandma's cooking. Well, unless your grandma was secretly trying to poison the family, that's complete nonsense. Their country-fried chicken combo meal delivers a jaw-dropping 2,370 milligrams of sodium. That's more than an entire day's worth in one sad little tray. Your blood pressure monitor might actually file a complaint, but here's where it gets really sneaky. The packaging shows these beautiful golden portions that look downright home-style. Open the box, though, and you'll find something that resembles airplane food after a rough flight. The meatloaf dinner? It's basically a sodium brick disguised as comfort food. Then there's the saturated fat situation. One serving can pack up to 80% of your daily limit. That's like eating 3 cheeseburgers worth of artery-clogging fat, except at least the cheeseburgers would taste better. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry experiment gone wrong. Modified food starch, sodium phosphate, natural flavoring, which, by the way, could mean anything from beaver glands to wood pulp. Appetizing, right? What really gets me is how they market this stuff. Home-style this, country-style that. The only thing country about these meals is that they're probably banned in several actual countries with food safety standards. The portions look generous, sure, but when half the weight comes from preservatives and fillers, you're basically paying premium prices for fancy cardboard. Your digestive system will spend more energy processing the chemicals than extracting any actual nutrition. Speaking of questionable nutrition choices, let's talk about a brand that takes massive portions to a whole new level of dangerous. You think Marie Callender's was bad? Well, buckle up because Hungry Man takes too much sodium to a whole new level. We're talking about portions so loaded with salt, they could probably melt ice on your driveway. Their Salisbury steak dinner, and I use the word steak very loosely here, packs over 1,500 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half your daily limit in one plastic tray. Makes you wonder if they're trying to preserve the food or pickle your kidneys, right? But here's the kicker. The texture of these meals is something else entirely. People describe it as rubbery and overly salty, with about as much real flavor as chewing on a salt-soaked tire. My neighbor Bob tried one once and said his blood pressure monitor started beeping like a smoke detector. The processed meats they use are basically mystery ingredients, held together with artificial everything. It's like they took real food, removed all the good parts, then added enough sodium to float a battle boat. And let's talk about that hungry man promise for a second. Sure, you'll get big portions, but you'll also get a big helping of heart problems, high blood pressure, and possibly a stroke down the road. The brand should really be called Thirsty Man, because you'll be drinking water for hours after eating one of these salt bombs. Regular consumption of these meals is basically asking your cardiovascular system to work overtime, without overtime pay. But wait until you hear about our next brand. They've got problems that go way beyond just too much salt. You know what's worse than bad frozen dinners? Bad frozen dinners that might actually hurt you. And that brings us to Banquet, the brand that's practically made a hobby out of product recalls. Here's the thing about Banquet. They're everywhere, they're cheap, and they've got more recall notices than a politician has broken promises. Seriously, this company has had to pull products off shelves for finding plastic chunks, metal fragments, and who knows what else mixed in with your mashed potatoes. Makes you wonder what quality control looks like over there. Probably a blindfolded intern with a rubber stamp. Their fried chicken dinner? It's got over 1,400 milligrams of sodium. That's like licking a salt lick while pretending it's dinner. The Salisbury steak isn't much better. Packed with so many preservatives, it could probably survive a nuclear winter. But here's what really gets me about Banquet. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry textbook. Modified cornstarch, sodium phosphates, natural flavoring, which, by the way, can mean pretty much anything these days. You're not eating food, you're eating a science experiment that happens to be shaped like a TV dinner. Food critics have literally called Banquet meals the worst frozen dinners on the market. When professional food people who eat everything for a living won't touch your product, that should tell you something. The crazy part? People keep buying them because they're affordable. Well, hospital bills aren't exactly budget-friendly either. Sometimes the cheapest option costs you the most in the long run. Speaking of expensive mistakes, let's talk about a brand that charges premium prices but delivers bottom-shelf quality. Walk into any grocery store, and Stouffer's sits there looking all fancy with its sleek packaging and higher price tags. They want you to believe you're getting restaurant-quality meals. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that's about as real as my claim to be 25 again. Here's what really gets me. Their famous mac and cheese contains more sodium than a McDonald's Big Mac. Think about that for a second. A fast food burger has less salt than what they're calling premium comfort food. That's like saying my morning coffee is healthier than green tea. But wait, it gets worse. Their lasagna? Packed with over 800 milligrams of sodium per serving. Plus, enough saturated fat to make your arteries file a formal complaint. The cheese isn't even real cheese. It's processed cheese products mixed with modified starches and preservatives I can't pronounce. The portions look generous, sure, but generous amounts of what exactly? Refined pasta, artificial flavors, and enough salt to de-ice your driveway. The protein content is surprisingly low for something that costs twice as much as other frozen dinners. I tried their beef stroganoff once. The beef had the texture of rubber bands, and the sauce tasted like someone mixed flour with disappointment. My dog wouldn't even finish it, and he eats garbage. The marketing team deserves an award, though. They've convinced millions that paying more money equals better nutrition. It's brilliant, really. Like selling fool's gold at diamond prices. Speaking of misleading marketing, there's another brand that takes deception to a whole new level with their so-called healthy options. Here's the thing about Michelinas that most people don't realize. They've mastered the art of looking healthy while being anything but. Walk down the frozen food aisle and you'll see their bright, cheerful packaging promising lean this and light that. Sounds promising, right? Well, don't let those feel-good words fool you. It's like putting a bow tie on a bulldozer and calling it formal wear. Take their popular chicken Alfredo. One tiny box delivers over 900 milligrams of sodium. That's more salt than you'd find in a large bag of potato chips. And we're talking about a portion that would barely satisfy a hummingbird. But here's where it gets really sneaky. Those lean labels? They're technically correct because the meals are low in fat. But to make up for the missing flavor, they pump these things full of artificial additives and sodium enhancers. It's like removing the sugar from candy and replacing it with crushed-up vitamins. Technically healthier, but missing the point entirely. The ingredient lists read like a chemistry experiment gone wrong. Modified cornstarch, sodium phosphate, natural flavors, which, by the way, can mean just about anything the lab cooked up that Tuesday. And let's talk about those vegetables. You know those little green specks in their pasta primavera? They've been processed so much, they're basically colored cardboard with a vegetable's distant memory. The real kicker? Many seniors choose Michelinas thinking they're making the smart choice. The marketing works perfectly. Clean packaging, health-focused language, reasonable prices. Speaking of reasonable choices, let me tell you about two brands that actually deliver on their promises without the marketing tricks. Kid cuisine might look like it's just for children, but plenty of adults grab these colorful boxes thinking they're getting a quick, harmless meal. Big mistake. These frozen trays pack more sodium than a fast food burger. We're talking over 800 milligrams in their chicken nugget dinner alone. Smart Ones tries to fool you with that clever name. Makes you think you're being intelligent about your food choices, right? Well, the only smart thing would be avoiding them entirely. Their turkey and vegetables meal contains so much sodium, you'd need to drink a swimming pool to balance it out. That's not smart. That's sneaky marketing. But here's the kicker. Both brands load their meals with processed fillers and mystery ingredients that sound like they belong in a chemistry lab, not your kitchen. Kid Cuisine's mac and cheese has more artificial colors than a paint store. Smart Ones adds so many preservatives, their meals could probably survive a nuclear winter. The portion sizes are laughably small, too. You know that feeling when you finish eating, but your stomach is still asking, "Where's the rest?" That's every Smart Ones meal. Meanwhile, Kid Cuisine gives you portions fit for a 6-year-old, not a grown adult. Then there's the taste factor. Kid Cuisine tastes like cardboard soaked in salt water. Smart Ones. Well, let's just say the name doesn't apply to their flavor department either. Your blood pressure monitor won't appreciate either choice. Neither will your taste buds. Speaking of choices that actually make sense, there are exactly 2 frozen dinner brands that won't leave you questioning your life decisions. These companies somehow cracked the code. Finally, a breath of fresh air in the frozen food aisle. Amy's has been quietly doing what other brands pretend to do, making actual food instead of chemistry experiments. Their meals start with organic ingredients. Real vegetables that haven't been processed into unrecognizable mush. Whole grains that your digestive system will actually thank you for. It's like finding a home-cooked meal hiding in your freezer section. Take their black bean enchilada bowl. While other brands are cramming in 1,500 milligrams of sodium, Amy's keeps it under 600. That's the difference between waking up puffy like a marshmallow and feeling normal the next morning. But here's what really sets them apart. You can pronounce every ingredient. No modified cornstarch mystery powders or artificial flavor compounds that sound like rocket fuel. When Amy's says spinach, they mean actual spinach leaves, not green-colored paste. The portions make sense, too. Not so small you're hunting for snacks an hour later, but not so massive you need a nap afterward. Their tortilla casserole has 18 grams of protein and 6 grams of fiber. That's real staying power. And honestly, they taste like food your grandmother might have made, assuming she was really good at seasoning. The textures aren't weird or rubbery. Vegetables actually have some bite left in them. Sure, Amy's costs a bit more than the bargain brands, but think of it this way. You're paying for ingredients instead of paying for marketing campaigns and recalled products. Makes sense, right? The organic certification isn't just a fancy label either. It means no pesticides, no artificial preservatives, and stricter quality standards. But Amy's isn't the only surprising winner in this frozen food battle. Well, well, well. Look who's making frozen dinners that don't require a medical consultation afterward. Trader Joe's has quietly become the superhero of the freezer aisle, and their cheeseburger burrito might just be the Clark Kent nobody saw coming. Here's what makes this place special. They actually read ingredient labels before slapping their name on something. Shocking concept, right? Their cheeseburger burrito packs 23 grams of protein without turning your blood pressure monitor into a fire alarm. That's more protein than most seniors get in their entire breakfast. But the real magic happens when you flip that box over. The ingredient list doesn't look like a chemistry textbook. Real beef, actual cheese, recognizable vegetables. My neighbor Frank says it best. I can pronounce everything on here, and I failed high school Spanish. Then there's the sodium situation. While other brands are basically serving you salt with a side of dinner, Trader Joe's keeps it under 600 milligrams per serving. That's like finding a unicorn in the frozen food section. The portion size hits that Goldilocks sweet spot, too. Not so tiny you're rummaging through the pantry an hour later. Not so massive you need a wheelbarrow to get to the couch. Just right, and here's the kicker. Their frozen meals actually taste like food a human being might make. Revolutionary thinking in the frozen dinner world, apparently. The best part? Your wallet won't file for bankruptcy. Quality ingredients at reasonable prices? That's rarer than finding parking at the grocery store on senior discount day. Makes you wonder why other brands haven't figured this out yet.